So, caffeine is a great booster for your brain. It makes your focus sharper, smoothens out your cognitive engines, and enhances your memory. However, many people overconsume it, which leads to numerous issues. We don't get the same caffeine punch we once did, and we don't get the same boost in focus. If we skip it, there's a great chance our head will explode and we'll be foggy and lethargic for the whole day. How to fix this? So how does caffeine work to boost focus? See, we humans use an energy that's called ATP, and that's adenosine triphosphate, and every time we use a bit of energy, one phosphate bond gets broken and it goes from ATP to ADP, and in this process more adenosine builds up in the brain. Now adenosine sort of signals to you that you're tired, drowsy, and you should relax and rest. It's a very important neurotransmitter that has its own receptors in the brain. They're called adenosine receptors. Yeah, you guessed it. And so when it binds to those, it makes you feel a bit drowsy, relaxed, ready to sleep, essentially. So caffeine has a similar structure to adenosine, and what happens when you drink coffee is this caffeine binds to these adenosine receptors, so there's less place for real adenosine to bind to those and signal that you're actually tired. So what caffeine does is it masks fatigue, and this is how it promotes focus. You wake up, you're refreshed, mentally clear and alert, but as the day goes down, adenosine builds up and you're just more and more tired. And when you drink coffee, you mask in all of this and you're fresh, mentally clear, alert, and focused. Now you can do your work. So where does the real problem occur? See, most people overuse caffeine or consume it at the wrong times. If 1 cup of coffee boosts your focus by 100%, is 5 cups of coffee 5x boost in focus? No, it doesn't work like that. The only thing you're actually doing is ending up in a loop of caffeine-ingested fatigue. Too much caffeine disrupts your sleep, so you cannot flush out these caffeine and adenosine pathways to reset them to restore a normal energy metabolism, but you're always sort of caffeinated, and this disrupts again sleep. You cannot restore energy metabolism, and the loop of fatigue just goes on and on. The only thing that can improve it is drinking another cup of coffee, but that's a very short-term acute effect. Essentially, you need to reset your neurochemistry to not be addicted to caffeine in a sense. One of the major withdrawals of caffeine is excessive headaches, migraines, and being slow and lethargic. Also, as caffeine intake exceeds the individual tolerance levels, what happens is excessive stress. Your brain becomes hyperactive and you feel the so-called jitters. So what happens as caffeine boosts your energy and your brain's activity, suddenly there is an energy crash. Your glucose levels and cortisol levels spike up and then you immediately drop and you feel the crash. So this can negatively impact mental clarity and focus afterwards. Plus, another thing is with overconsumption of caffeine, the effects on focus are slowly diminished. This is why today we'll talk about this new concept of caffeine cycling. I have created a newsletter called Keys to Vitality, which brings you one key insight or actionable step every Tuesday in your mail to get you closer to elevating your energy, vitality, and optimizing your performance. You'd get things like 3 steps to fat loss, how to sharpen your focus in 4 steps, micro workouts for metabolic health, or how blue blockers can affect deep sleep. This is the kind of newsletter you're gonna want to check out. Link in the description below. Your call. So caffeine cycling involves taking breaks off caffeine where you ingest no caffeine so you can prevent the tolerance buildup or the insensitivity to caffeine. By cycling caffeine, our goal is to reset your tolerance, maintain your sensitivity, and avoid the diminishing returns on boost in focus the caffeine gives you. So the best way I've found to cycle caffeine is to ingest up to 200 milligrams daily for 5 days a week. That can be a max of 400 milligrams on a heavy day. Then you take 2 days off, preferably on weekends, drinking either decaf version or no caffeine at all. Cycling can help reset your adenosine pathways and receptors so that you restore energy metabolism and you wake up refreshed without the need of caffeine to boost you up. There's also another way called rip the band-aid off, which greatly helps reset tolerance levels for heavy caffeine users. That's going to be going off caffeine for a full month, a real deep brain detox. Experimentation with different caffeine cycling patterns can help you distinguish what works for you and what's doable for your own lifestyle. Decaf coffee as an alternative. So I really love coffee, and if you tell me I needed to go off coffee, I'll be mad. But if you tell me I needed to go off caffeine, I wouldn't be that mad, because coffee is sort of a ritual to me. I always take little breaks throughout the day where I sort of get my coffee cup, drink it, look at the markets, check out, do certain analysis, and then after that break I start working again. It's more of that ritual than the caffeine that gives me the satisfaction. So for people who love caffeine, decaffeinated coffee and teas are great alternatives to still get that ritual going on, but not ingest the same amount of caffeine. This can help you reset your tolerance, reset your energy metabolism, and sort of flush these adenosine pathways in the correct way without ingesting a lot of caffeine while still maintaining the ritual. You still get the smell, you still get the taste, you're still doing your thing, maybe socializing with friends, but it's a decaf version, so it doesn't give you that boom cognitive punch. Now, although decaf still have a little bit of caffeine, they're like 2 to 5 milligrams, which is nothing compared to the 100, 200, even 400 milligrams you get from a real cup of coffee, macchiato, energy drinks, pre-workouts, or whatever. So decaf 2 days a week, you're good to go. Dosage and how to prevent overconsumption of caffeine. So to respect a certain caffeine dosage is essential to stop over-consuming caffeine and get all these diminishing returns on focus. So the recommended daily intake for adults, healthy adults, are 200 to 400 milligrams, and you don't want to go a lot over that because slowly you are going to end up in a loop of fatigue. So that's pretty much like 2 cups of coffee on a daily, not more than that. But the tricky thing with caffeine is it's present in other things, like in energy drinks, there's a lot of caffeine. Pre-workouts, colas, sodas, these things contain a ton of caffeine. So you want to be mindful of the things that contain a lot of caffeine and ditch those if you want to still have your coffee. Otherwise, it's very likely you're going to disrupt your sleep and end up over-consuming caffeine. From the moment you drink coffee, caffeine content spikes to 100%, something let's call it equivalent to 200 milligrams. Since caffeine has a half-life of about 3 to 5 hours, it takes this amount of time for the body to eliminate half of the caffeine. So in 5 hours, you should be at around, let's say, something equivalent to 100 milligrams. Now, timing caffeine consumption strategically is essential to prevent disruptions in sleep. Science is very clear that drinking coffee like 3 or even up to 6 hours before going to bed can definitely disrupt your sleep. Matter of fact, a systematic review of 24 studies concluded that when consumed too late, caffeine reduces deep sleep time by 11.4 minutes and increases light sleep by 6.1 minutes. So if we could just draw a line, 6 hours before sleep, no caffeine. My take on this, the latest I'd ever drink caffeine is 3 p.m. That's it. Plus, if caffeine is a mentally stimulating, alertness promoting thing, it's better to have it in the morning, maybe not right after you get out of sleep, but somewhere around 10 to 12 o'clock when you need that second boost for your work to get done, right? Caffeine metabolizing speed and personal sensitivity. So the numbers shown in the previous section weren't exactly equivalent for every human being out there. It depends on your enzymes, how quickly you can absorb and utilize caffeine. So there are fast and slow caffeine metabolizers for whom the effects are going to be completely different. The rate at which an individual can absorb caffeine depends on an enzyme called CYP1A2 enzyme. Personal sensitivity to caffeine can also differ. Some individuals will experience a strong energy boost effect when overconsumed. It can tip the scale to dizziness, jitters, and hyperactivity, while others metabolize it slower and may have a slow effect with the same dosage being relatively calm and not affected as much. So understanding one's personal sensitivity and caffeine metabolizing capabilities in a way can guide you in developing an effective caffeine cycling plan, so it's not too much or too little for you. Add L-Theanine to coffee to smoothen out the effect. Now, this is one of the best tricks I've learned from a nutritionist professor. The best way to smoothen out the effect of caffeine and prevent the jitters and hyperactivity is adding a pinch of L-theanine in it. So matcha tea, for example, is a caffeinated beverage which also has L-theanine and a good ratio of caffeine to L-theanine in it, which can help and assist in gaining mental clarity and alertness and sort of promoting a state which people like to call it relaxed alertness, where you're not hyperactive and jittery, but you can actually focus and sustain your focus for longer. Theanine does this thing where it helps your brain enter an alpha brainwave state, which is a very calm, relaxed, alert state, usually the one you get closest to in meditation. It's a natural component found in many different teas that can counteract stress and reduce the effects of anxiety. So this is our last hack in the book for this video. Combine a bit of L-theanine to your caffeine. Before we leave, if you are a lover of coffee, you're going to want to read this article, The 6 Effects of Caffeine on the Brain and Focus in General, and you're going to want to watch this video, The Pros and Cons of Coffee. That's all I have for you today. Peace out, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.